Hey everyone, sorry about that. There were some technical issues. Let me adjust the light. And it looks like we have quite a few people in here, so thank you so much for joining. It's good to see you. Um, I'm just going to pop up my notes on my other screen, so bear with me for a moment. And if you have questions, feel free to pop those into the chat and I'll get to them. I'm also gonna turn on another light so I don't look so I've got a dark side of the moon thing going on. Yeah, that's a little better. I mean, I know I'm a very fair-skinned person, but anyways, there we go. Perfect. All right, well, we're gonna get this show on the road, and uh, we're gonna get this show on the road, and I will wait for questions to come in. But while we're doing that, let me just kind of introduce myself, introduce what Smart Start Content Club is, and we'll take it from there. Okay. I'm Suzanne. I am your host and guide in the Smart Start Content Club. And my background is in well, it's pretty diverse and broad and deep as well. But I have been doing business communications and content creation, copywriting for many years for all kinds of companies, um, and even I'm U.S. based, but companies around the world. So yeah, that's my area of specialization. But I also have a background in operations management, program and project management, and information and knowledge solutions. So that really comes into play with content, um, and is really a benefit for you because hopefully that's what you are here seeking some assistance with. Um, I'll just keep adjusting. Oh, it feels very bright. Okay, so um, I'm getting weird error messages here, so hopefully you can still hear and see me. So we're just going to continue on. Uh, yeah, so Smart Start Content Club came about because I was looking for a way to really be able to help more people meet people where they're at. I work mostly with small businesses, medium-sized businesses, so people who are solopreneurs, or maybe they have a small team, or it's just them, but they've got some um, like independent contractor type people, like a VA or a graphic designer that they work with here and there. So this is really for you guys because the needs of a small business are really quite different than, and I mean small business, like a less than 5 people kind of business, than a small business that's 49 people, or an enterprise level uh, uh, company that's just got, whether they like to say it or not, they got resources, right? So yeah, this is a way for me to help people where they're at. Maybe they're DIYing their content, or maybe you're the kind of person you're scaling and starting to delegate or outsource, and you just need resources. You need support. You need guidance. You need to, you have this gap, right? It's an awareness or knowledge or skills or systems gap, and you're looking for ways to fill it, and you're ready, right? You've got the motivation. You understand the importance of marketing. You understand the importance of um, high converting sales copy. You understand the importance of communication within your business, amongst your team members, and also with your various audiences. So the Smart Start Content Club addresses that. So inside the membership, we tackle things like content strategy, content planning, content creation, content management, content distribution, and the systems that surround all that and make all that doable, preferably in a more streamlined and sustainable way, because that's the name of the game. Because you can have great ideas, but if you don't actually create the content, or if you have great content but you don't actually share it, um, it's really not that good. It doesn't really do any good for you, right? So that is what we try to do. We try to, and I think it's also really important to inject that in this day of AI, all the AI slop that's out there. Um, what we're really trying to do is create and maintain and build, fortify human connection and authenticity, um, real reality, and also not just become digital hoarders with more and more content and more ideas and concepts, but actually take action, get shit done, get in there, get it done, get out, get on, moving on to the next thing, right? And this is really important for small business people who have very lean teams. You need to be agile and resilient. And when you're agile and resilient and flexible with your content programming, that frees you up to, like I said, get in there, get it done, and get out. Go move on to the areas of your business where you feel like, you really shine, where your zones of genius, your areas where you can give more, um, like higher value attention, and contributions to your business. Okay. So that's what it's about. It's about making your content and your business communications more broadly feel more natural, feel more authentic, feel more, get flowy, like you're in the flow, like things just click, right? For you and for your people. We want a win-win situation here, right? So that's kind of the idea behind it. And within the membership, it's a quarterly membership, meaning that you sign up in 3-month chunks, and this is very intentional design for the membership. It is because a lot of what we cover is maybe new, or there's a little bit of a learning curve, or it's a change of routines and habits. So I don't want you to feel pressured. I want you to have the time, the space, both mentally and schedule wise, to be able to try out these new ideas and concepts, to experiment and see what works for you, and see how you can take what's in the membership and turn it into something that fits your context, that's tailored to you. And I'm there helping you the whole way along. So yeah, I think that's why it's important to have 3 months. Just gives you a long enough runway to really test your wings. Um, Anyways, but so your membership is 3-month chunks, but each month there will be new events put onto the calendar, and there are new resources that are added. So the events are related to, um, usually there's a content strategy and planning event, a content repurposing, creation and repurposing event, and then some kind of like office hours type event. And that one in particular is asynchronous, so we're not bound by any time zone. Um, and then I just added a fourth event in, which is a really fun one. And the idea behind it is to do kind of fun, interesting, creative, or social activities to help us break through barriers that we might have, some blocks that we might have um, in our business that prevent us from getting our content done the way we want. So the first one was yesterday, and we did a Zen doodling activity. So it was really fun. And the replays for all the events are inside the members portal. So yeah, if you miss a training or a workshop or an event or something, no big deal. You just pop into the members portal, the clubhouse, and catch it on your own time. So definitely tries to meet you where you're at when you're there. Um, no pressure. Again, the idea is not to dump more stuff on you to do or bury you under more digital debris. The idea is to provide resources, guidance, and support to help you take action, to mobilize, to motivate and mobilize you. And then along with that, equip you so that now that you're ready to take action, you have the tools and at least the minimum viable awareness and knowledge to move, to take action, to implement, to execute on your plans and your strategy in ways that really serve your audience and support your business and, more broadly, your lifestyle, right? Because you want to create a business that supports your life. So that's a little bit about Smart Start Content Club. And if you just came into the call, feel free to pop your questions into the chat, and I am happy to answer them. Um, until I get some questions, I am just really talking about the membership and talked a little bit about my background, and I'm going to talk a little bit right now about what's the importance of content for your business. Um, and this is based on on comments I hear all the time, or the challenges and struggles that people tell me repeatedly. Um, so I know that they resonate, 'cause they also resonate with me, because even though I've been doing this for a long time, hey, I still struggle with consistency, and I still struggle with knowing what to write, or what form the content I create should take, right? Those are really pretty universal, and it's totally normal. Um, and even if you were like the ultimate Marcom whatever guru, you'd still have face these challenges every once in a while. Okay. So business communications, it is a part of your business. It's a essential business function. It's your business communications is part of, might fit under your marketing umbrella, but it's really broader than that, in my opinion, because you're communicating all the time. Marketing is communicating, sales is communicating, um, you know, engaging with your employees is communicating if you're in a, larger organization. You, working with your team is communicating. You're always communicating, and that could be directly, it could be indirectly, it could be verbally, it could be your body language, it could be the environment you've set. You know, um, there's all kinds of communication, but basically you're communicating all the time. So communication is very important. It is essential to any business. It's essential to life. Okay. Um, and content, I like to think of content as the vehicle that is taking your communications is the conveyance of information or knowledge from one place or person to another. And so I like to think of content, your content in your business is the vehicle that's delivering that, that's shuttling those bits of information and knowledge around. So um, you can see that having content is also very essential. It's critical, right? Because you need to be able to communicate within your business. So that might be something like SOPs, it might be something like checklists that you have, it might be something like policies. And you also need to be able to communicate outside or externally from your organization. And that could be with other stakeholders or partners, like people you're collaborating with. It could be with, your vendors. It could be with whoever's doing your financing. It could be with, if you have a graphic designer or VA that you're working with, some kind of contractor like that. But you also have your external audiences, which are your prospects, your clients, your customers, and those sorts of people. And um, you might have multiple of these groups, right? So you might have different audience groups, like prospects, you're going to talk to them differently. They're going to talk to people who are already customers. So content is the vehicle that gets you from point A to point B, or gets your message from point A to point B. And your content can take on various forms, because you can use different uh, channels or platforms to deliver it. You can, like social media or email marketing. You can use um, different kinds of formats or media. So maybe it's video, maybe it's a long form written text like a blog post. Um, so there's all these different things to consider, and understanding which type of vehicle works best for which situation is really important. And that's, we kind of try to get to the crux of that inside the membership. Um, and the reason that these are so important is because if nobody, first of all, if nobody knows about your business, or about you, they're never gonna buy, right? If you're unknown, they don't know you exist. How can they engage with you? The other thing is a confused person never buys. So if you're unclear, or if you are speaking in ways or conveying your ideas in ways that are conflicting, conflicting or confusing, person's not going to buy from you. They're not going to sign up for your thing. They're not going to join your whatever. Um, they're just going to be sitting there scratching their heads, right? And that doesn't really do you any good, but it also doesn't do them any good. So, yeah, paying attention to your broader business communications as a core function of your business is really important. And then that's really at kind of like that really 30,000 foot perspective. And then zooming down into your actual content pieces, which is more the 3 foot level, is really important for the health and success of your small business. And like I said before, there's definitely ways to approach all this that are manageable and appropriate for small businesses like ours. Um, and the other thing I like to make sure that people understand, and I think this is especially important. It seems like large organizations like the Facebooks of the world have already taken license to do this, but small businesses a lot of times we don't give ourselves permission to just um, latch on to the idea of progress over perfection. Something that is done is better than something is perfect. I see some other people join into the call. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it into the chat box and I will answer your questions. Right now, we're talking about business communications more broadly and content more specifically, and how it fits into every small business and why it's so important. So yeah, I think that we need to give ourselves permission to come across as real, come across as scrappy, come across as relatable. Um, and again, especially in this age of AI, people want to know that there's a human there. Um, and I think it's really important to help small business owners understand not to jump on every AI tool, process, whatever bandwagon, but how to leverage that in a smart, real savvy, appropriate, respectful, ethical way so that you're not going to damage your own branding, and so that um, you're still coming across to your audiences as really authentic, and people want to see the person. They want to have that connection. They want to be able to form rapport, and you can't do that with a robot. Um, and you're going to start seeing more and more of that, I think. So inside Smart Start Content Club, yeah, I'm always advocating for leveraging AI tools smartly, but I'm also sharing ways to do that that make sense, that will help you get the benefits of the AI, like, sparking imagination, cutting down the grunt work time, cutting down some of the administration, that sort of thing. You just speeding everything up in general. Um, but I show how to do all that stuff, but I also give guidance on how to maintain the person in there, the personality, how to ensure that um, you're really nurturing and connecting with your audience. And I think going forward, I don't want to say like AI has jumped the shark, but this idea that AI has um, it's the end all be all answer to absolutely everything. I think that piece of it has jumped the shark. It's becoming AI is now becoming more assimilated into our just kind of core thinking and behavior, kind of like search. When you remember, wait, maybe you're not old. I don't know if you're old enough. When search first started on Google, and it was instead before it was like Yahoo, and you had to go through different categories and that sort of thing. But then search on Google search came through, and you just started searching, typing in keywords. Like that was a pretty big shift in how we look for information. Um, and I think AI is kind of maturing in a way to that point where it's just part of what we do. It's not the thing we do, it's part of what we do. Um, so yeah, I think that as a small business person learning about content and communication, you have to have some of these more classic bits of knowledge and information and skills, as little feathers in your hat. But um, you also need to be agile enough to evolve, to shift, to change over time, to keep pace. Because if you don't keep pace, you're just going to be falling behind. Maybe you know that expression, right? And it's not about jumping on trends per se. It is about jumping on trends in the sense of like, latching onto every single fad that pops up. Like, how many people are doing the dancing on TikTok? Okay, I mean, that might have been good for the first person who did it, but that's not authentic for everybody. Um, so you'll never see me dancing on TikTok because that's just not me. So yeah, I really try to help people find their own voice, find their own path, but give them this structure and frameworks and templates to have some kind of guardrails so they aren't flying off the cliff. I think guardrails are really important, really helpful. Um, I think they help reduce decision fatigue. I think they give you some outlines from which to start learning and growing skills and knowledge, or building out systems, because otherwise every little thing is a rabbit hole you go down, and we don't need that. That's kind of the enemy of that done is better than perfection. And it's when you go down all the rabbit holes, or you just have no guardrails, kind of, like a form that's keeping you in. um, you can get really overwhelmed. Things can feel really daunting, and I don't want that. I think that um, it's just best to take action, even if it's little actions. Incremental action, incremental change is still real progress, and that progress definitely adds up over time. And it doesn't even take that long. You can see it pretty quickly. So yeah, that's kind of my approach, my philosophy, and how it comes through to help you inside the Smart Start Content Club. And um, yeah, just if you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. I must be doing a great job because nobody has any questions, which, okay, I'm glad with that. Anyways, again, the two biggest struggles that I hear over and over from people related to content are that they have trouble with being consistent. And so, what that could mean is either they have trouble establishing uh, a cadence, a steady rhythm, or a steady schedule with creating and or sharing their content, or it could mean that they have trouble being consistent from one piece of content to the next, or from one part of their business to the next. So, like, maybe their website sounds completely different than what their blog sounds like, or what the message they're sharing in their um, uh, um, media kit is different than the message they're sharing in their ads and social media posts. So that creates a conflict, or a confusion with the audience. So that's one area that people struggle with is consistency. The other place that people struggle with a lot and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is knowing what to write. So that clarity and that direction. And when I say write, I mean create. So they don't have a clear idea. They don't know what to create. And that could be in terms of they don't know what topics or subject matters to address. What should they cover? What should they talk about? So that's one piece of it. And then the other piece, when it comes to clarity and direction, is they don't know what form that should take or where to share it. And a lot of times, the form something you're creating, your content takes, is dictated by the channel or platform. So if you're creating a video, you're obviously going to be sharing it like on YouTube. Or if you decide the channel you want to use is YouTube, you're going to be creating a video, or it could be a long form video, it could be a short, it could be a post for your community. But basically, if you know you're going to be using YouTube as a distribution channel, you're going to be creating a video. And you might be sharing that video elsewhere, but that's a separate issue. So um, I really love to be able to help people uh, figure out what kinds of content makes sense for them, both in terms of topic and the actual materialization of that piece of content. The other aspect of this is that really is important is the content repurposing, the idea of content repurposing. So I'm a big advocate of that, and that could be anything from uh, simply reusing, straight up reusing something you've already created, maybe in a different place or at a different time, to taking content you've created elsewhere and chunking it up and remixing it and turning it into something new without doing too much work. I see somebody just came in to the session here. If you have a question, feel free to pop it into the chat. And yeah, so overall, I really try to help people um, create systems that reflect their needs, have them be flexible, have them be sustainable, and content repurposing is really a huge piece of that. And there's so many different ways to go about doing that. Um, so inside the membership, you will definitely find all kinds of tools and trainings and resources to help you with these various aspects of your content programming and your content programming journey. Um, and I don't think I mentioned it too much, but content programming is kind of it's your program related to content. So within content programming, you have different stages. You have your strategizing, you have your actual planning, which is your strategizing is kind of like the goals and objectives and that sort of thing. The planning is more about um, what are you going to do to meet those goals and objectives. You have content creation, which is the actual production and maybe repurposing of your content. And then you have distribution, which is where you're sharing, publishing, posting, sending, all that jazz. And then you have um, everything else I kind of group into management, your content management. And that's more like compliance, auditing, updating, tracking, evaluating, all that follow-up stuff, the stuff, everything that pretty much comes after you've hit publish or send for your content that you've created. Um, Unfortunately, most content is not really like, the was it the Ronco rotisserie thing, the set it and forget it? Most content's not like that. At some point, you need to just keep tabs on it, see if it's performing well, why or why not. Maybe certain things need to be updated to have current or proper information, but it's also really important to know when it's not worthwhile to do that. Um, which brings me to this idea of there's all these different parts to your content programming, um, and there's all different kinds of activities within each little chunk. so you need a system that kind of ties everything together, uh, and keeps things running smoothly, in a way that doesn't make you want to, like, you know, rip your hair out. Or did you ever watch Sesame Street with the guy that was always banging his head on the piano? You don't want to do that. Um, you don't want to be that guy. uh, so yeah, I think that that's kind of the main things to know about, um, the Smart Start Content Club and what you'll get out of it. What else can I tell you? There's always going to be special little prizes and bonuses and little perks and things like that that I will be popped in there. Special opportunities like, um, maybe opportunities to be promoted to my email list or invite to join a summit as a speaker. Um, certain, things like that. Members are also invited to most, if not all, of the other events that I do. So if it's something that's not really part of Smart Start Content Club, but is kind of, maybe tangentially related, um, there's a free invitation for that. So for example, in earlier in January, I ran a, micro sprint, which is a separate event, but, it was a content done right, micro sprint, and Smart Start Content Club members were invited to that for free. If you weren't in the membership, then you had to pay for whatever the ticket price was, at the time you were bought a ticket. And then the members also get longer access to replays for stuff like that. And what else can I tell you? The membership is still sort of new, so it is evolving, and I think this is a good thing because, we're no longer in the days of etching stuff on stone tablets, right? We're not like, the people with their tablets putting, what is it? Um, cuneiforms into the clay, right? We are working in a digital world. We are, I advocate for flexibility and agility and resilience. So I try to live that in the sense of being, um, proactive and responsive, with how the membership is structured, the kind of content that's in I know it's very meta, the kind of content that's in the membership, so that it really and truly reflects your needs. Because if it doesn't serve you, then it's not supporting you. So, it's really important to understand that the membership does evolve and change over time, based on what you need. So that could be anything from how the membership is structured. By the way, there is a, guided tour of the membership that I just did earlier this week, that you should definitely check out if you want a sneak peek in there. Um, and yeah, so the membership changes based on what's going on in the market, what the needs of members are, and all that jazz. So, um, this is a great thing for you because you have the ability to directly impact what events we have, what resources are in the library of resources, what, kind of discussions we're having in the, members only community. Um, and because of this, the membership only gets more and more valuable to you. It only gets more and more impactful. And I think that's a really great thing. Um, Something else I didn't mention earlier that I think is really a little unique. I haven't seen other people doing this. Um, I, like I said, I want to make the membership and everything in it more of a place for you to go get stuff so you can get stuff done. I want you to take action. I want you to be able to do what you need to do to move the needle in your business. So, one of the things I've started implementing very recently is, uh, notebook LM projects within the, members portal, for resources in the members portal. And so, what these are I call them learning and action hubs. What they do is they take a very curated set of sources, and so it might be a training that was done, or a set of trainings that were done, or a set of resources in the library, and puts all of those into this learning and action hub as sources. And this AI driven tool then only uses those sources I give it to draw on when you interact with it. And it's a very interactive tool. It's just like kind of ChatGPT where you can have a conversation with it. But what you can do is use it to, depending on your objective, you can use it to either um, deepen your understanding of the subject matter, which is great if you're one of those people who likes to learn and do. Um, you have kind of an inquisitive mind, and you like to know how how the sausage is made, how the plane was built, and all that kind of thing. Um, so you can ask questions, you can listen to the podcast that's in there, you can watch the overview presentation, you can do quizzes, you can look at the infographics, that kind of thing, and engage with the content in different ways so you can have a better understanding of it. Alternately, you can use the Learning and Action Hub with this curated set of sources to figure out how to leverage those sources, how to put it into action in your business in a way that makes sense for you. So you can leverage this AI tool, have a conversation with it, and say, how can I put this into action into my business? How can I implement this? What does it look like? Here's my audience. What would this look like for my situation? So I haven't seen other people doing that. I think it's really powerful. The other beautiful thing about it is that different people have different communication and learning and work styles. And so this is a tool that really helps address that and meet you where you're at in the way that you're there. It helps you engage with the content and the resources inside the membership in a way that you can translate them from being kind of information that's out here to being knowledge, functional knowledge that's in here. And it helps you bridge that gap between just information and tools and resources and action plans. So it's really, really important, I think. But anyways, we are almost at the 40-minute mark. I think that is plenty of time. I haven't seen any questions come in, so I think we are going to call it a day. And thank you so much for joining live, if you joined live. And if you're catching the replay, thank you so much for that too. I really appreciate it. You are welcome to always reach out to me with your specific personal questions. I know sometimes on a YouTube live, it's difficult to um, maybe convey your question. Oh, hi, Peter. Thank you. Yeah, feel free to reach out either in the SBSF Facebook community or via email. I'm always happy to answer questions. I'm happy to hop on a one-on-one call if you want to do that too. Whatever works for you is good. So, anyways, have a wonderful day and thank you so much. Hope to see you inside Smart Start Content Club. Bye.